It's a big 3 points, and against someone that you kind of want to get 3 points against, but can Rising turn this into something more? Whew. Well, it's been a week.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. It's been a very long week since we last saw you. 2 Phoenix Rising games, the Open Cup, then a trip to New Mexico. Welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast. A little bit happier, a little bit more positive maybe than last week. And a little bit less Max as well.
Are those two things correlated?
Here. We don't have Max Simpson. I don't know what to say to you guys. He's not here. Well,
I mean, he's on vacation somewhere. He's probably on a beach.
Of course he is.
Sipping some nice drinks.
I was asked to give a shout out. Can we give a shout out right now? Happy birthday to Samantha. Hopefully he's not asking you to cook tonight, but happy birthday, Samantha. Rees doesn't even know how to follow that one up. There we go. Straight off the bat. Yeah, welcome in. We got a lot to talk about. Rees, should we... How do we even want to do this? We haven't really planned this, have we, right now? Let's start with Houston.
May as well.
Start with Houston? Let's talk about Houston. What are we thinking?
It was a good 90 minutes. I know Rising didn't create a whole lot of chances. You're not going to against an MLS team. I mean, the going to extra time in that match is an achievement. Rising played with a bench that had 3 players just coming back from injury, 3 teenagers, and a backup goalkeeper. Winning that game in extra time would have been impossible, and it was shown. I mean, Jack McGlynn, who scored that goal, cost $2 million to sign for Houston before the season. He showed his price tag there with the quality of that strike, and then from there, Rising had to attack. They had to, just abandon that defensive mentality, and they were made to pay for it. But again, you can't fault them for how that match ended.
No, of course not. I will say, right, you put it rightly in perspective, right, in terms of not creating the chances here. Phoenix Rising, they start that game well. Relatively speaking, I don't think they were out of it in the early exchanges, and then get the penalty just before the break to draw things level after conceding, I think, quite poorly from a set piece. But again, you're playing a better opposition, so you expect them to create chances like that. They get a penalty. I think a little hint of luck around the penalty in a lot of ways. But it is what it is. You've got to put it away, and they do put it away. The issue that Rising have is after that, they create a grand total of 0.03 expected goals.
I'm surprised it's that much.
Well, it was 2 shots, one of which was on target.
Yikes.
0 in the second half.
Yeah.
So none in the second half. You're right. They do have to bring it to Houston a little bit more in extra time. I think the biggest thing there is the fact they fought so well despite... multiple factors we could talk about in terms of lack of depth, in terms of just really struggling to have options to change the game in a positive manner. Rising make 1 change in the actual play, don't they, before extra time.
It was Rivera, right?
Yeah. 1 substitute before the 90th minute, and that tells you something, right? Because Houston are able to use all 5 of theirs. They haven't been playing too well in the league. They've been looking for something to kind of raise the spirits, raise the confidence, and they took this game a lot more seriously than they could have. A lot of teams in this competition, when you're an MLS team, they don't take these games too seriously. They don't put necessarily all of their first choice better players out there. And Houston Dynamo didn't really start people who weren't in the matchday squad in LA.
And I mean, I'm just looking at the substitutes right now on Transfer Market, and I know it's a flawed metric for transfer value, but it's 3 of the guys they brought on: Ezequiel Ponce, Andrzej Linger, Jack McGlynn, as I mentioned earlier. Those 3 players are worth combined 10 million, give or take a few $100,000. I'm not adding up to the exact number. That's more than twice what Rising's worth on transfer market. Again, it is flawed, but still, that just shows you the sheer difference in these 2 squads. And when
they turn to those guys.
Exactly,
that's the thing. As the game went on, they turned to those guys.
If you can bring $1 million guy off the bench, you're gonna thrive. And you saw that. I mean, as I said, McGlynn scores that goal,
and that was a really incredible, just a phenomenal goal.
It's what you expect when you play a team from the league above you. That should happen. Those moments, it shows. And
when he takes that shot, right, there's nothing that Patrick Krakowski can do about it. There is absolutely nothing that you can do in that moment.
I completely agree. You can't nitpick what his positioning or anything like that. It's just a quality effort. And unfortunately, that's just really the difference. I know the 4-1 scoreline looks worse than it does, but I mean, if you look at some of the other teams in USL that had to play MLS team, or I guess every USL team really, but a lot of those games had very similar outcomes. I mean, El Paso Austin, which would have been who Rising would have faced had they gone through. That game, El Paso was leading 2-0. They had a collapse of their own, losing 3-2 in normal time. It's unfortunate, but it's what makes the cup sets so impactful, so exciting to see, and is the rarity and the achievement behind them, really.
Right, and one of the things to add there, of course, when you look at that bench from the options that Rising had off it today, Darius Johnson saying it's probably one of the youngest benches he thinks he's been around, and it was right. 2 of the guys who were brought on, they are kids, right? Jameson Ping, Cyrus Cowell playing as well. These are guys who we see minutes for Ryan Flood there. Damien Rivera obviously comes on in the second half of play. But you also have then Alex Araneda coming on as well, getting his first minutes in a Phoenix Rising shirt. Look, it is what it is. I think the biggest worry we had was going to be how that was going to then translate. As we looked further down the line, we looked at the following game here. We'll get into New Mexico more as we talk later on, but from Rising's perspective, I know afterwards, obviously, Parma Dukas said that he was proud of the team for the fight that they put up in that game, and I would agree. I mean, it's the 4-1 scoreline makes it feel as though they've been absolutely dominated. The key thing there is that for most of the game, I don't think they necessarily were. It very much came just the need to open up with a team that was already exhausted, had very little option to turn to on the bench as they get into extra time, and that's what happens. But yeah, I think overall, this is a team that I think really, to be frank, did the club proud, to be honest, just in how they carried themselves in the game, in how they took the game at times to how they defended when they needed to defend. And eventually, yeah, you're right. It's you bring a money guy on off the bench and they do what those kind of guys do in games like this. There's not a whole lot that you can do about that, but just generally impressive. I mean, is there anyone who stands out to you there from that game, just from Phoenix Rising's perspective?
I mean, just the whole back line, really, because it wasn't a typical back line. I mean, Askel Asenge couldn't play because his cup died, and to really limit Houston as a whole and limit their chances, because it's not like Houston was bombarding Phoenix with chances and Houston just was missing them at the end of it. There was just nothing really in the final third to really pull away. So I really think that whole defensive effort for Rising is just something you can really, really be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of those guys in there. You look at what the centre-back pairing was, okay? It was Carl Sainté and Braxton Montgomery. Yeah. It's not necessarily people that you're going to look to and say, okay, these guys are going to stand up and be phenomenal centre-backs. I mean, Carl Sainté has played in that position, but not really the role that he was brought into Rising to do. You look at Braxton Montgomery. Again, it's a kid. We're talking about a kid. We're talking about someone who's only just turned 18, not even 2 months ago. And he's out there putting in a long shift against an MLS team.
116 minutes. I mean, that is just
116
insane.
minutes against an MLS team. And yeah, obviously it doesn't end well, but there's only so much that you can expect out of them. I think they did themselves proud in that night. I do think it was quite funny when you see, I don't think we should reference Rising Facebook on here, but when you see just the negatives that can come out on that, and I think most people obviously were united against that particular outlook. But look, this is a team that I think did themselves proud, played a really tough opponent. It does mean, of course, that Rising still has yet to get a win over an MLS team in 3 attempts now in competitive play. It is the first time they didn't lose 2-1. But there's actually a fun fact there for you, which is that this team has never failed to score when they played an MLS team in competitive play.
That's a feat
They've
in its own
scored
right.
in every single time they've done it.
Because how many USL teams do get shut out? Because I know it's not every single one, but it happens enough.
It does, of course it does. I mean,
Let's see,
it's not easy coming up against
Charleston
teams like
got
that.
shut out against DC United, and Charleston's got
Mhm.
some of the best attacking talent in the league.
No, exactly.
Louisville got shut out too.
I know. I mean, you could also say North Carolina didn't score
Yeah.
in 90 minutes, of course.
I forgot
their
about
cup
that.
tie, that one ending miraculously 4-1 after extra time, with all 5 goals coming in extra time, which is honestly truly bizarre. We probably should give a shout out here to the only team that did actually make it through from USL Championship. They are, as a result, the winners of the $50,000 prize fund for the furthest advancing team from Division 2, and that is the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who got it done with a 1-0 win in the 6th minute of stoppage time against New York City FC. Rees, did you catch any of that one?
I did not, but I know that Pittsburgh gets up for the Open Cup.
They
game,
do.
so-
Now, I will give you one stat, and it is Lily Ball in a nutshell. It's
Oh.
possession. Give me a number.
I'm gonna go 32.
You were very close. It was 31%
Ooh.
possession. And that's just Bob Lillyball
Yeah,
right there. I mean,
absolutely.
it's defensively solid. They don't give up that much in terms of shots against. I mean, overall, it's 1.12 XG for NYCFC, which interesting. But former Phoenix Rising player Eric Dick there, getting the clean sheets. New York also ending down to 10 men in that one. But yeah, wow, 90 plus 6 for the winner.
That's peak cup football, right?
That
there.
is proper cup football right there. Underdogs coming in and getting it done. Right, well, that's the Open Cup. Any more to add on it? It's a bit sad now, only one USL team left. Only one non-MLS team left
Exactly.
in the round of 16.
It makes it boring.
It does. Cup football's not about top tier
No.
teams. It's never about top flight teams. When you get to the semis, you kind of expect it, but you've always got that hope that someone's going to make a run. And right now, it's all on one team in particular.
I mean, who cares about watching Houston Austin for probably the 4th time they'll play this season? Who cares?
In a cup when they put the kids out, probably.
Exactly.
I mean, none of us really want to, do we? I think that's about it on Open Cup.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when we come back, the other side of the break, we will have talk about Rising's game on the weekend against New Mexico United. But first, if you made the trip over there, and it is quite a long drive over to Albuquerque, I'm sure you'll have stopped to fuel up en route. And if you did, should have made sure that you stopped over at Circle K. And while you're there, sign up for the Inner Circle Rewards program. It's really easy to download. Get yourself enrolled, and then you're saving money. You're saving the 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. You save 3 cents per gallon every day thereafter, and they've got all other kinds of deals as well that will come along, member-exclusive deals. Grab yourself a Polar Pop for the journey as well. Again, it's a long drive. Get some snacks in. You know you need to. I know there was a Circle K right opposite the hotel as well, which makes it even easier. But if you haven't already signed up for the Inner Circle program, you can do so for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Of course, terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And meanwhile, as well, it's getting quite warm at the moment. You know, you might need a bit of head cover there.
Yeah.
Get yourself a bit of a shade over the face a little bit. Get yourself a cap on, yeah? Oh, yeah. I mean, you're wearing a hat in here. You're not wearing a Branded Bills hat, which is disappointing. Go get yourself a Branded Bills hat, Rees. Okay? They are a local company here in the Valley. They're based in Mesa, and they make all kind of good stuff. You can see Rees now has There we go. He's improved his headgear there
Absolutely.
already. Immediately, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, they have you covered with performance and style. And even better yet, we've got a deal for you guys. If you make your first order over at brandedbills.com, you're going to use the code you see, not the one at the bottom of the screen. It's going to be BBPHNX now this time for 20% off of your first order. That's brandedbills.com. Use the code BBPHNX for 20% off of your first order. Right. Let's move on. We were speaking about obviously that game on Wednesday, and they made them they realistically can take pride from that performance against a difficult opponent in Houston Dynamo. We were expecting Saturday to be difficult as well. Phoenix Rising taking on New Mexico United in that game, and Rising obviously coming into that one off a midweek game, 120 minutes in midweek as well. Meanwhile, New Mexico United had nothing in midweek. They pretty much at full strength, and Phoenix Rising come out and get a win. Neither of us expected that, really, did we?
I mean, the match just seemed like a recipe for disaster. I mean, to put it quite frankly, I mean, it just with how Rising have been looking physically. I mean, Margarita wasn't going to be able to play. The 11 comes out, and it's Hope Avayevu again in that front three. And I know I kind of went, ooh, this could be bad. Just how it's looked at times when he joins the front three, how it does look fairly one-dimensional. But again, similar to that Houston game, Rising defended so well over the course of this match, and New Mexico just had nothing really of any quality. I mean, they didn't even amass one full expected goal. 0.81 their tally is just nothing really. I mean, I know they missed Greg Hurst, but still, they didn't create anything.
They really didn't. It was just poor. I don't know quite how to describe it other than just terrible football. I mean, in the end, right, they created a 0.31 xg until Rising found their second goal, and that's when the game became a bit more transitional, right? That's something that Parmadou Carr spoke about. He spoke about it today. He spoke about it after the game on Saturday as well, in terms of just it got away from him a bit. They can work on that. Obviously, there was some fatigue in there as well, but it got away from him a bit. They allowed the game to become too transitional. They allowed New Mexico to find a way back into it. The real way that Rising kind of took it away from New Mexico, they focused on kind of the center of the pitch. They disrupted the rhythm that New Mexico like to build to in their build-up play, and prevented them from really getting going at all. But they really didn't do anything, did they, for most of that match?
It really just came from, I thought Rising were exceptional in their organization. I mean, for a large part, New Mexico would pass to someone, and not only would the player who receives the ball, be immediately defended, but all his passing lanes would be cut off. There'd be nothing for him to give the ball to, and that's just where Rising. If this match had been played maybe a month ago, that's where Rising would have struggled. It's been really fun to see this defense. Really, the last two games, it's been the two best defensive performance by far this season. I know they're still waiting for that clean sheet, but still, it just is. They're just limiting everything. They're limiting teams from doing anything in the final third. I mean, New Mexico, again, on their attacking stats, they didn't have a shot on target in the first half. They had 6 total, none on target. Just couldn't find anything.
Absolutely. You know what? Before we really break into, I think, some more of the specific comments we want to make on this match and different moments and different players, I'm going to bring up Amanda's comment in there, right? Pretty sure some of those NM fans were crying when we walked by. Rees, I need a reaction, please.
Good.
Rees, you're saying good to New Mexico fans crying?
Yes.
Can you expand, my friend?
They deserve it.
They deserve it?
Yeah, they deserve to cry.
They deserve to cry? Why do they deserve to cry?
Plethora of reasons. Where do we start, really? I mean, the 7-0 win a few years ago, that's just
the kids game, the
yeah,
COVID
they
game.
deserve eternal suffering.
I agree. I will never support the fact that they did that.
Yeah.
I think it was, quite frankly, a joke. for a team to claim to be a professional team and then have a season that runs till October, and in May you have a postponement and say, well, we don't have any availability other than while half your team is isolating. I think that was a joke. I think the way they went about it was a joke. I don't like it. I don't think anyone really liked it. I think that one's still carried by certain individuals. I mean, Darnell won't say anything publicly, but I saw the anger in him that night, walking off the pitch after that happened, the way he was kind of consoling some of the youngsters on that team. I mean, James had in there, those fans are so full of themselves. Well, listen. It's not their fault that they've got nothing else in that terrible city, okay? It's a terrible city. You've been to Albuquerque?
Not since I was like 4.
Well,
But I just, the only thing I can remember is how bad.
you remember how bad it was at the age of 4? That
Absolutely.
tells you how bad the place
It sticks out. It sticks out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a miserable place. It's a miserable place, you know, but it's okay. It's okay, right? Let's talk about the football. Let's break it down. Obviously, Hope Avayevu opens the scoring for Phoenix Rising. That was kind of insane because he gets the header. It's a reasonable save by Tambakis in goal. He's really reaching for that one. It goes out wide, and it feels like it's just a kind of a comedy of errors there in terms of they don't clear their lines. They completely fail to clear their lines in any way, shape, or form. Hope Avayevu gets the ball quite close to the byline and just kind of knocks it in. Alex Tambakis completely made a fool of at the tightest of angles. And then even after that point, you've got Chris Gloucester as a defender for New Mexico, just kind of standing there and watching it go in. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong on that goal for New Mexico goes wrong.
I don't even know where to begin because, I mean, the really thing that stood out to me the second I watched it was just the persistence of Hope. And I can't remember who else it was for Rising, but the two of them were just, pushing the New Mexico players to get the ball and keep going on the attack. And then obviously it ends up working out. And then the second thing is just what on earth is going on with New Mexico's back line there. Just the collapse there. And then when the ball was deflected by Tambakis, and then, as you said, Chris Gloucester just kind of watches it and then tries to clear it off the line. It was just a very weird sequence. It felt it's just one of those kind of derby away game goals that you just absolutely take and then you run with it and just hope it ends up working out, and it did. But then again, back to the goal, Tambakis there. It's. I mean, with Tambakis,
it's a shambles. Isn't it
absolutely is.
Let's be honest. There's no defending any. Look, I've said this in the column, and I'll say this now. Phoenix Rising played well. You brought up the defending. You brought up the way that they kind of shut down New Mexico, didn't let them create anything.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have to be honest here. Rising got lucky.
Yeah,
they had their moments of luck, and I think this is one of them. Alex Tambakis. On that first goal, terrible goalkeeping. There is no way that should have ended up in a goal. But Rising did create their own luck to a large degree. I mean, it was...
I mean, that's one of the moments where you just create your own luck by Hope just
they don't give
to push up
they
for
keep,
the ball. Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you ask questions of the keeper, even if it's a pretty straightforward question, right? I mean, let's be real. When I'm saying asking questions of the goalkeeper here, and we're talking about this, we're talking about Alex Tambakis was handed an exam and didn't write his name right on the front page, okay? That's what we're looking at right here. The guy couldn't get his name right on the exam. He's failed at that lower a level of question. I'm sorry. It's no professional goalkeeper should be conceding that goal.
I completely agree.
But you have to ask the question. Yeah. And every so often, a guy like Alex Tambakis is going to give you one, I guess. I mean...
We saw it in the playoff game last year.
That was also poor from him. Yeah, he's... I know you've got views on Alex Tambakis. Yeah. Go on, tell the people your views on Alex Tambakis.
Okay, I don't think he's the most overrated goalkeeper in the league because there's other players that...
Such as?
The guy up in Sacramento. I don't want to say his name, but
Vitiello.
Yeah, Vitiello.
You think Vitiello is?
I do think so. But Tambakis, to me, I think he's a very good shot stopper, but I think he is so bad. I mean, just continuously.
He's just very error prone.
Yeah. When he's really tasked with parrying the ball away, knocking it away somewhere else, it's just turns into a bit of a mess for him. Again, I do think he's a good shot stopper, but once he saved the shot, that's when it kind of turns into a disaster for him.
It does. Right. We'll move on a little bit here. And it's, you know what? We're still talking about a delightful Alex Tambakis disaster class. Getting sent off in the 57th minute there for New Mexico. Completely. Jeez. It was bad. It was. Rees, tell me your views on this one.
I mean, when I saw the ball get kicked up like that for Darius Johnson, I mean, I don't even know how I thought, but it was just like, oh my gosh, something's going to come out of this Rising. Either it's a goal or whatever on earth that was from Tambakis. And
really poorly timed challenge.
Completely, yeah. And it's one of those things where I know you can see why it is a red, but also not. I mean, for me, when he's that far off, and I know Darius has to take a touch to the left, touch to the left to kind of avoid him, but I think he's forced into taking the touch to the left by how Tambakis slides, and that's why they're red. And also just the challenge too, it's just kind of nuts from him.
Yeah, we know why he's an all-time USL saves leader, John, and the answer is because he's not good enough to get into a league above. All right. There's something to be said for longevity, and in this league, a lot of players don't have longevity. And he's been in this league now for quite some time.
Has he been there for the start for New Mexico? Because I know they have quite a few players.
No, he hasn't been. No, he was with other teams in there. He's been North Carolina.
I didn't realize it was 21.
Yeah,
that feels very recent. I don't know why.
Really?
Not recent, but I don't know. Well, New Mexico has so many guys, or has had so many guys that have just been there forever. I mean,
they do. You're not wrong.
They have a high, not retention, but just guys that stay there a long time.
Think about it. It was Cody Mazel.
Okay, that's
do you remember that? That rings a bell.
Yeah.
But I will say something else to bring into this, and it's something that you wouldn't have caught on the broadcast because the broadcast cameras don't pick it up. You had to be there to really see it. In terms of the red card for Tambakis, it comes not. I mean, yes, he overcommits to the ball in the end. He hesitated a lot. He was actually in a position. If he would have read the ball pretty quickly off the boots, the long ball, and gone out and committed to the challenge at that point, he would have won the ball. He'd have been there in time. He would have been fine. There is a hesitation. There is a long hesitation from him. He actually takes a few steps away from the play before he eventually runs towards it and commits. And it's that hesitation is what's cost him. That indecisiveness in that moment is what's cost him. He, I presume, read it as though his defender was going to get to that ball. And they just weren't. And if he'd have read it off the bat straight away, I don't think he finds himself being sent off. I think he does ultimately win the challenge. I don't know necessarily what happens there, but I think he doesn't get sent off. He finds a way to make the challenge more cleanly. I mean, there are some questions you could raise. Is it too far wide? Does the touch from Johnson take him too far wide with a covering defender running in as well there that potentially downgrade it slightly? Remember, it's denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Every single element that we require for a dog show must be present, right? We're talking about direction. We're talking about number and location of defenders. We're talking about does he have win possession of the ball? You've got to make sure that you've got everything involved here. I don't know. I think it's one of those that you can argue either way. I know New Mexico were not happy about it. They didn't feel as though, once again, that touch out wide, slightly wide there is not going to help. But at the same time, it's a poor decision, I think, in the end to commit to the challenge when he was so slow to do so. He kind of left. It was the slow reactions that killed him on that one.
I mean, the broadcast angle was terrible.
The broadcast angle's not going to give you that one at all.
Yeah.
You don't get any real look at him before that point. And so in comes none other than Chris Shakes. Chris Shakes. Here's the laugh already. You're a big Chris Shakes guy?
I just think about him in the Open Cup.
Well, the head loss at the end of that Open Cup game against El Paso.
Absolutely.
It was head loss, to be fair.
Oh, no doubt about that, but I mean, it's just the way he reacted in that one.
Just going to laugh about it now, Rees.
Absolutely. And then his effort, I mean, not effort, it wasn't terrible. On the on the Darius Johnson goal. It was just bad.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Darius Johnson goal. Okay, so it's obviously you get that little flick back from Hope Avayevu, finds Johnson again, who it's the 1-2 with Avayevu to Johnson. Johnson puts it away again. It's near post. I feel as though it's a much better taken goal from Rising's perspective than the first goal. But again, you're right. You've got to put up a much better effort than that at your near post.
Completely. I mean, it was a great movement from Darius Johnson, and then the good flick from Hope. But just to concede that goal like that for New Mexico's perspective, where Rising, I mean, didn't create a lot, but not really by choice. It was just the way they kind of came out in that game. And then for you to go down 2-0 like that just hurts from a New Mexico perspective. For Rising, absolutely take it. Darius Johnson, I thought, had one of his best games in a Rising shirt. I know he didn't start the game, but I really think in that Houston game too, he really has looked kind of to fulfill that potential that because kind of noted when he signed by the club. It's really kind of come through in these last 2 games. I think he's looked quick, he's dribbling well, and it all really came together in that goal.
It did. And then as we, you take it on from that, I don't think there's a whole lot there to add on that one. We take it from there. We talk about just New Mexico getting themselves a goal back in there. Obviously, it's late. They were pressuring a bit more at that point. They'd had a few shots. So you think, okay, maybe they're kind of finding a way back into this game. But Gaines with just a very, very good effort that I think you kind of look at and just go, well, that puts you back in a game.
Exactly. And
especially one that you had no real business being in at that point, down a man as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to that Jack McGlynn goal from midweek where you just kind of put your hands up and say, and applaud it because it is a very
maybe
good
you
effort.
close him down early. I mean, he was closer to goal. He's in the penalty area, Maybe you need to put more pressure on him on the shot, but once the ball leaves his boot, there's nothing you're doing about it at that point.
Exactly. And you just have to kind of bunker down again for the final, I think that was the 84th minute. So final 6 minutes plus stoppage time and just hope you don't concede another one, which they did, Rising's perspective, but they also maybe gave away a penalty, who knows.
We talk about that, the potential foul on Luis Fernando?
Yeah. I mean, I saw that and my heart just sank watching it because it's
a foul.
It completely every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
We need to be honest, and it goes back again to what I was saying earlier about luck and about creating your own luck as well. It was a foul. Rising, let's be clear, got incredibly lucky. Yes, the shot's just about taken, but then he's taken out. It's a foul. It's a foul and a penalty.
Yeah, I'm watching it back right now on my computer.
It's a foul and a penalty.
Completely. I mean, if you can see that penalty,
it ends up actually with, and this is kind of the funny part to it as well. Marlon Vargas getting sent off on the bench. Actually, which I don't think a lot of people necessarily picked up on at the time.
I did not.
The broadcast, I'm told, didn't pick up on it. Marlon Vargas was sent off on the bench before play restarted after that one. Going around Pat there. I know they were fatigued a bit, but Rising really need to press the opposition attackers more when they're trying to kill off a game. They can't be so passive. I'd agree with that. Again, it felt as though to an extent, and I know they were tired, but once Rising went 2-0 up, it felt like things moved into cruise control a little bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I get you don't want to continue to open yourselves up to a New Mexico counterattack, but I just don't completely agree with sitting back like that and kind of inviting it. But I mean, it worked out at the end of the day. I mean, Goalieman Pat also brings up Rakowski's save on that 1v1. I don't know who took it. It wasn't a very good effort. I thought whoever that was for New Mexico, thought he was offside just because he took the touch and then just kind of waited, and then fired the shot. And then it was not a good effort by any means. I don't think the flag went up on that one. And then Rakowski just made this simple save. But that was another big moment too for Rising.
Yeah. I mean, anything else to add at this point?
Just a huge win. I mean, I know it kind of hasn't looked pretty, but the last 5 games, Rising only have 1 loss, 2 wins, 2 draws. I know that loss is an absolute heartbreaker to Detroit City, but I mean, realistically, they're one mistake away from being unbeaten in the last 5 games, which in the last 5 league games, not including Jägermeister Cup, not including Open Cup, which is quite
You're
impressive.
downplaying the Jägermeister Cup.
I'm down. Yes,
You're
I'm
not big on
gonna say
the Jägermeister Cup.
I'm not going to say I don't care about the Jägermeister Cup.
You don't care
but
about the
I don't
Jägermeister
care about
Cup.
the Jägermeister
I'm
Cup.
sorry. I understand what USL's going for, but the dumb format, all of that, no one cares about
Playing
the
the same
Jägermeister
teams
Cup.
you play twice a year already.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
in
don't
the
care.
name of regional rivalries.
Yeah,
No, we don't
no.
care. We already play these people all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Rising's got to play New Mexico in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, I don't want to see that again.
No one does.
No, we get bored of playing New Mexico all the time. But yeah, you don't care about that.
At least Rising didn't draw him an Open Cup this year.
They didn't. But again, that really fun fact there that Rising has never lost in a regular season league game at Isotopes Park. They drew the first one and have won every regular season league game played there since.
That is.
And then equally, Rising has lost both games at 38th and Washington against New Mexico.
That's just nuts. I mean, it just feel. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to say about that because it just feels like surely there was one, but.
Mm-hmm. I will
Yeah.
say to go around Pat's comments there, I understand not disregarding results from other comps to the game still actually see a recent form. I get that. But if we're going to go down that route, I'd say that at least the Houston one you should really consider as a draw and a very good draw at that. Because if we're comparing apples to apples here, 90 minutes is realistically it. And you're playing a much better opposition with minimal depth. Like I feel like I'd give him credit for the draw, quite frankly, in that game if I'm thinking in that way. Rising hasn't won at 38th and Washington for 84 years. Not true. It's September, I believe. It's the last time that Rising won a home game.
8 months.
It's been a while. The last win at home, if I'm not mistaken, in a league fixture was the 4-0 win over San Antonio FC. That was on the 21st of September, 2024. I mean, that's quite a win.
Go out with a bang, I guess.
4-0, and then you can't win a game for months thereafter at home.
I mean, that's just what feels made up, honestly. But
It's
then
not
again,
made
it's
up,
not.
it's real.
Yeah, they just wins at home this season, and the season
very
ended.
real, right? Well, when we look ahead, we will be looking ahead when we get back the other side of the break to talk about Rising's upcoming game against Monterey Bay. It's going to be a rematch. It's going to be a rematch again. Ready for that?
Yeah, it's a rematch of the most chaotic fixture
rematch
ever.
of the most chaotic fixture ever is what Rees says. You know what though? Just come on, give me one little word to give me one little thing that's gonna make people excited to hear it when we come back to this.
Go potential.
He's going with potential.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, when we get back, we will be talking about all of that potential. But first, remember that whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. You want to find out what 90 million users worldwide are doing right now? They're using Bet365. And you know what's actually fun about this, right? They've already got odds ready for Rising's game on the weekend. And this is not something that we commonly see. But Bet365 do give you that. So that's very exciting right now. And I'm eyeing up right now these odds for Phoenix Rising against Monterey Bay. At the moment, every possible outcome has plus money, right? Phoenix Rising win plus 120, a draw at plus 220, a Monterey Bay win is plus 225. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So if you're betting on USL right now, make sure to check them out at Bet365. And of course, they've got all kinds of other, all of your betting needs as well. Also, and remember, new customers, breaking news from Bet365. New customers can now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. You need to sign up. Use code PHNX365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, on totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and you must, of course, be 21 or older, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.com. Right. Also, got to give a shout out to our friends at Mountain America Credit Union. Everyone needs a checking account. You can get the account with built-in benefits. Mountain America's My Style checking account has perks just for you. All kinds of deals with that. Restaurant deals. They also offer you mobile phone protection. There's telehealth access, identity protection. You get discounts on loan rates. There's offers on travel and on events, and so much more as well. You can make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. It's all insured by the NCUA, and membership is required. It's based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration or activation, and terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. Right. Let's talk.
Monterey Bay.
Monterey Bay. Let's talk. Will Rising break that streak? It's not been 84 years, Golden Man Pat, but will Rising break the streak and get a home win?
I think this match is coming at the perfect time for Rising to do so. I know Monterey Bay is second in the table, but they've really taken a dip. Not really as big of a dip as it kind of sounds, but I mean, the last 6 games, they've only picked up 7 points. Their defense has opened up a lot in terms of expected goals conceded. They're conceding the last 6 games about a 1.5 goal expected goal. But they're not conceding actual goals from that. It's only been about 2/3 of a goal per game, which is actually quite a big discrepancy. But they're not scoring like they were through the first 4 games of the season. I know they still do have the quality. Elijah Paul, Mayele, Malongo have been good at this season, but the last 6 games, it's really dropped off for Monterey Bay. And with Rising's defense taking that step up over the last couple of games, I think this match is coming at the perfect time for Rising to just continue limiting Monterey Bay's attack and hope for the best going forward.
Right. Well, we've been speaking about that recent form and obviously coming off of the win on the weekend. I did ask Rising coach Parmadou Kar earlier today if he'd seen maybe a raise in the mood around the group coming off of that win. Here's what he had to say.
I think we said the same. We the same. Obviously, it helps the confidence. It builds confidence, which is great for them. After that, 3 tough games, to be fair with you, because two games you played in altitude, which started with Colorado, which you could have won, didn't. You come home, you play an MLS team for the majority of the game, till the 100th minute, and then you go and win a game. That just says the strength of this group and the quality that we possess, but also how fit they are and how working they are, because it took a lot of energy, but they were ready to fight and claw, and I think I'm very happy with where they are. But now can we progress to make sure that we win the second game? Now that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean that's the key thing, right? Because for Rising, they did get the win, obviously, that you feel like, okay, maybe this is a step forward. Okay, you think about it as right. That was an important win. It was against a team that obviously Rising have a lot of dislike for, players, coaches, fans especially. But how do you turn that into something more? Because you want to see improvement, but you also need to see is continuous improvement, right? And the problem with this is if you come out and play poorly against Monterey Bay, you drop points, or even if you don't play poorly, but you just find ways to drop points again, which has been kind of the story of this team's season, finding ways to drop points. You're back to square one.
Yeah.
And you need to build momentum. You need to find a way to just keep this going, and that is the challenge for Rising this week.
I mean, you look back to the last time Rising won a game, which has only been one time before last week. The game against San Antonio, we were talking about how that feels like a big win, a big step for this team. And then they come back home and play Detroit City and probably have the worst game outside of the Monterey Bay, the first match against Monterey Bay, against Detroit City, where Rising were up 2-0, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however many it was, and then just completely fumble it away. You cannot repeat that, because that game completely put you back to square one. Might even put you back farther, just because of how bad of a loss that was.
It was terrible.
You need to move forward to just continue building this season.
Absolutely. I mean, look, as we move on to this game, I mean, you kind of mentioned some of how Monterey Bay are doing, but what do we think about really just where they are at right now? Second in the conference, and very, very interesting, I think, to see just the turnaround they've had this season.
I mean, it is definitely interesting. Just because it's not like they have a whole bunch of USL names. I mean, it's not like it's guys that you look at and be like, okay, that's an old league guy. I mean, I know Miles Lyons has been around this league the last few years with El Paso. Elijah Paul's a guy who's familiar to Rising fans. But there's a few other pieces there, but it's not like they went out and just spent a ton of money like some of these other teams. I mean,
no, they haven't.
Have you seen the promo they're running? They ran before the season. They said if you're a season ticket member and if they miss the playoffs this year, they'll refund you a portion of your season ticket. I can't remember how much. I think it's like a half, maybe. But
they're giving you money for the
missing the playoffs.
The playoffs, yeah. So they're going for it.
They've got something to play for.
But it is an odd promotion. I'll give you that.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously, like Rising's last game against Monterey Bay, they already played them earlier in the season. Hard to, I think, pull too many things from it, especially later on, because this is a game that's heavily impacted by the fact that Pape Boye gets sent off. And then Carl Saint also gets sent off, a just complete moment of madness. And for anyone wondering, I have it on good authority. I know a lot of people are saying, well, I don't know, I didn't see him clearly make contact with the opponent's head there. I've got it on pretty good authority that, oh no, he did. So it's a game that when you finish with 9 men and they ultimately had to put, of course,
3 teenagers,
Donnell King on the bench. Was it not more than 3 teenagers?
It was more. I was just talking about on the pitch.
Zachary Da Silva, Cyrus Cal, Jameson Ping, Jean Villegas, and Pierce Rizzo on the bench, starting Braxton Montgomery.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's just nothing you can really take from that game.
There were 3 genuine first teamers on the bench because Donnell King, yeah, he's old. But yes.
That was...
He's not that old, to be fair. He if he's listening to this, I'm sure I'll hear about that the next time that I see him. But he did, of course, hang up the boots after the 23 season. An interesting game, though, in terms of just, I mean, let's take the first half as an example. Rising created chances. 5 shots, 2 on target, 0.68 expected goals. They did give them away, though, at the other end as well. 0.96 expected goals in the first half alone for that game. And it was a classic Phoenix Rising, just giving away a chance early, giving away a goal early. Carlos Guzman with that one. Just 3 minutes into the game, assisted by Elijah Paul.
It was the set pieces there that just, besides the red cards, the set pieces really hurt Rising in that game. I mean, the one immediately off, the first one 3 minutes in, was a very well worked set piece. Great ball across goal from Elijah Paul. And just nothing Rising could really do after the ball got to Carlos Guzman. And then they had another one.
It was a 0.653 expected goals on that shot alone.
You just scared me so much by making that comment. I don't even know how. You can see
poor
me jump.
Old Rees just jumping apparently at that one.
But yeah. And then they conceded another one when Rising went down to 10. But yeah.
How did I... What?
I don't know. Oh man, that's terrible.
Right, okay. But yeah, I mean, as you look from there, though, Monterey Bay, they've actually only won 1 game in 7 in all competitions since. It's been a bit of a downhill there. That includes a loss to El Farolito, by the way.
Yeah.
In the Open Cup, that's El Farolito, the amateur team from San Francisco. Where Rees, what did you give their burrito score-wise again?
I can't remember. It wasn't very good.
You gave it
it was bad.
You gave it a real
mid.
Just mid. Yeah. Just mid. Sorry, Al Farolito, but Rees has decided to quite mid. It was interesting though, just that they really started the season very hot, and then it's just all been like draws and draws and draws by and large, and they kind of keep things ticking over. But it's,
I mean, that's kind of been Monterey Bay throughout their history, though. It's just start the season hot. Very hot. I mean, I think outside of their first
streaky,
year,
I think is the way I'd describe them. Yeah,
yeah, and then just cool down.
very, very much so. But they are also still though in second place, even though they do have games. Other teams around them do have games in hand. Be it New Mexico 1 point behind them with 2 games in hand on them, or FC Tulsa with 2 games in hand on them as well, but just 3 points behind El Paso, 3 points behind, 1 game in hand on them. In fact, Monterey Bay are the only team in USL Championship that has played double-digit league games so far. Would you believe?
They haven't played a Jägermeister Cup game yet
They
either.
haven't, no,
No
I know.
Jägermeister
Well,
Cup yet.
Your favorite cup competition, Rees?
No,
No?
but it's my
No. One other thing, I mean, I know you were looking up some stats today. I wanted to bring this up because these most recent games we've seen someone in particular be left out of the matchday squad, and that person is indeed Harvey Neville. Now I asked about that today to Parmadou Carr, and he said no, he's fine, he's training. Sometimes you have difficult choices to make. Difficult choice is interesting here because, to me, this is a guy who, in a week that's as hard and long as they've had, you'd have thought would feature at some point.
Yeah, and just to not get anything into the squad.
I mean, what are you reading into that?
Yeah, that's just not a great message to send. I mean, I took a look at his stats from the last couple of years. I know they're very small sample sizes, and then I put him to per 90, and they're not all down, but what is down is the just attempts of some things like aggression. So, for example, his open play cross attempts, he only attempts 1.89 per match. This season, that's down from 5.87 with Sacramento last year.
That's partly because of what Sacramento were asking him to do,
but
right?
His dribble
They were
attempts,
asking him
his
to
duels, his tackles, his passes into the final third, a lot of things of kind of that aggressive fullback nature are down, which is just, it's not like a success rate's down, it's just the attempts. And that's even dating back to Loudon. Some of the Next Pro stats I could barely find, thanks Next Pro, just is down. I mean, I don't think he's, the best player in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but to leave him out like this in this week.
We're at a point whereby Braxton Montgomery is a child who could be about to go to college, is starting, and Harvey Neville can't even get in the squad.
I mean, you've got probably 2.5 months left with Braxton. Maybe
they may try and coax him to stay. You never know.
Yeah, but it's
we can't make any guarantees.
Yeah. I mean, if he does go, though, it puts the team in an awkward spot. You'd have to bring somebody in, just how the roster is and how many minutes he's getting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you got to a point whereby Emi Quayshaw was fit, you've got Colin Smith fit, you've got the centre backs a lot more fit and a lot more, present there in terms of Pape Boye, in terms of Mo Traore, in terms of Axel Sainté, who's here now as well. Are you in a better position where maybe you can get away with not having him here?
I think you would need a fullback. You just don't have the fullbacks at that point. I mean, I know Mo could play left back, but
I mean, to Devon's point here, he's saying sign Braxton, pay for his college later. I will say that he told me, right, and we had the article that we put out weeks and weeks, a couple of months ago now. He told me that he didn't, he did some online school. He didn't like it. He thinks it's better to learn in person, so he wants to go and actively learn in person. And it's things like that make me feel as though he's going to lean towards genuinely going and playing in college and going to college. I know it's something that's important to him, and I get the feeling that he look, people change their minds when the decision's put in front of them and is really put in front of them. It can be difficult. But I'm not certain right now that it's as, I think, doable as some people think it is. I'm sure there's a good chance that you could turn his mind around.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's it's fine, they'll offer him a pro deal and he'll stay. I think it's going to take more than just being that straightforward to convince him to stay.
And at this level, the pro deal is a risk. I mean, you're throwing away your college eligibility, and if it doesn't go right in this league, you really don't have too many other options. I mean, you could go League One, but
But a lot of
you?
youngsters
You know?
don't easily
Exactly.
make that transition. I mean, look at Niall Dunn. Niall Dunn
Exactly.
is nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a risk. It's a real risk as a youngster. Right, we're running low on time, so we better get through this one with score predictions.
I'm going to go 1-0 Rising.
Going 1-0 Rising. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
That's, either of those seem fair enough for me.
Let's throw it over. Producer Pitt, come on. Score prediction.
I'm going 1-0 Rising.
1-0 Rising. 1-0 Rising. Okay, there we go. All right, there's a lot of positivity here.
Probably more than we've seen in weeks.
That's been a while since we've
Yeah.
seen positivity like that. But you know what? Nobody predicted a loss. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right, well, you also can avoid losing by taking advantage of the ongoing PHNX merch sale that we've got going on, by the way. We're having a bit of a spring cleaning over in the locker. There is up to 30%. Oh, there's 30% off of all inventory products, and up to 75% off on already marked down sale items. There are going to be some things maybe you don't find in there, but there's a lot of stuff in there that's really, really cheap right now. You need to go out and have a look at this. Let's have a look. Here's the real question. I know we've got some PHNX Rising stuff there now. How cheap is this? Let's have a look. Because this is the real question I think that everyone wants to know, right? You can get the PHNX podcast tee that we often have out there. That's down to sub $20. The scarf, you can get a PHNX Rising scarf under $10.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
There we go. 75% off right now on the PHNX Rising scarf. Love it.
Love it.
Going over to check that out over at the PHNX locker. And right, Rees, I think we're coming towards a conclusion now.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts to share with the people?
It's a good chance for Rising to get a winning streak for the first time this season on the weekend, and hopefully they can take advantage.
Yeah, okay. Good. I do think we got a message from Max that's coming. We may have a little video there as a...
When you're ready to say cheers, don't forget Max is buying beers.
Yeah, we're not going to let him forget that one. Max is buying beers. I'm sure. I hope Max is buying beers for
Hopefully.
Sam right now.
Hopefully.
Happy birthday, Sam. Happy birthday to Samantha.
That is a classic tune now. Absolute
That is a classic tune. And Max, you better be buying the drinks for Sam, I think. Yeah? We're all in agreement here?
Oh, yeah.
100%. When are the PHNX branded vacation luggage tags coming sponsored by Max? Mr. Vacations. You got to ask him. I say ask him. I think Max owes the people answers on that one.
You have to ask Max.
You'd
but
have to ask
find
Max.
Max.
Well, if you want to do it, you find him on Twitter at Max David Simpson. Ask him, where on earth is he, Mr. Vacations? You can follow me on Twitter at OGM18. You can follow Rees on Twitter at
Rees11_.
You can follow our producer. Come on, give a shout out. How are we following the producer here?
Follow me at Freckled Mamba on Twitter.
There we go. Someone new. We've never had you here on this show before, have we?
No, first time. Glad to be here.
First time. There we go.
Fairly
Yeah.
normal one for first.
Yeah, this is a
PHNX
much
Rising
more
too.
normal. We weren't as unhinged as we usually are on this pod. You can follow the pod at PHNX__ Rising because double the underscores.
Double the wins in a row, maybe?
Double the wins in a row, maybe? What have we got? We got Noah coming over looking very menacing right now.
I'm scared.
No, you're not. But that's not even the reason. 2-0 says. No, 3-0. We got some interesting predictions in here. A really negative one there just came in. But remember, we'll have coverage of the game coming on Saturday. Make sure to follow up for written content as well over the weekend around that game. And of course, we will be right back here next week on Wednesday once again, breaking down the Monterey Bay game. I'm looking ahead to a Jägermeister Cup
Oh, yeah.
game against New Mexico United. Jägermeister Cup, Max. That's for you. Until then, as Max often likes to say, it's a beautiful game, but it's more beautiful when
Max isn't here.
Okay, there we go.
We all silly like the mayor.